Hey everyone, you're watching UFC Fight Night 89, Rory MacDonald versus Stephen Thompson, UFC Pick'em. We're just gonna go over the whole card here, give my brief insight to each fight. Take these picks lightly. I didn't really do a lot of research. I'm just gonna kind of go over my general thoughts on each one. Thank you to all the new subscribers. There's a lot of discussion on the breakdown video for Rory MacDonald versus Stephen Thompson. I'm hoping to spend a little more time going over that fight in this video too, and then discussing your comments too. So let's just get started with Bagautinov versus Herrera. I just think Bagautinov probably has fought the higher caliber fighters up to this point. Herrera has a lot of heart, good off his back, scrappy as hell, but I just think that Bagautinov has the experience here. Next fight, give me a second. Covington versus Jonathan, I believe his last name is Meunier. Just gonna call him John here. Covington, American mixed martial art. It's basically kind of the wrestler-boxer stylist. John is a kickboxer, a Muay Thai stylist, much more. So he's taller, he's 6'3", and I think Colby's going to have trouble closing that distance. Colby's striking, I don't think, is quite developed enough to close someone who's better at range. Maybe he is. We don't know a lot about John's takedown defense. I do know that he's able to stuff takedowns here and there, and that might just be enough. And I think after he gets taken down, punched up a little bit in the first round, we see John begin to pick Colby apart in the second round. I could see him winning a decision here. I could see him winning by a second round KO. I'm just not sure if Colby's striking has developed enough. He might get frustrated, start shooting from the outside, and that's going to be tough against a tall fighter. The safe pick here is probably Colby. Especially if John just doesn't have anything to offer as far as takedown defense. But if John's able to stuff these takedowns, I believe he gets the better of the striking exchanges. So going with John here. Markos versus Jones-Lybarger. No offense to Jocelyn. She's a scrappy fighter. She has high output on the feet, which could definitely give Randa troubles, but she's inaccurate and she gets countered quite a bit. She gets hit a lot herself, and this is a winnable fight for Randa. I think it's kind of a gimme fight for her. I think Randa still has issues and troubles in this fight, but Jocelyn's not. I don't think she'd be the stronger fighter, although she is the larger fighter. Like as far as height, I think Randa probably would be able to outmuscle her. I think I'm not sure how the striking exchanges are going to go. I tend to favor maybe Jocelyn, but it just takes one counter to really, if it's a powerful one, to kind of sway the judges the other way. And she can always fall back on her grappling. So I'm going to go with Markos here by decision. Just don't think Jocelyn's going to be able to get it done. Theodorou versus Sam Alvey. Don't discount Sam Alvey in this fight. It's like if you kind of feel like you want to choose him, there's a good possibility he can win. I mean, listen, Sam has 17 knockouts. He didn't get 17 knockouts by luck. He is kind of a slow starter. Sometimes he is, especially if you're kicking the shit out of him. He takes a lot of damage. He's flat-footed, but I think the thing that works in Sam's advantage is like the fighters will get comfortable and then he'll press forward and start just landing bombs. If you can't read an opponent for the first round because you're kicking the shit out of them, and then they come flying at you. I'm kind of referencing the Tom Watson fight, Sam Alvey versus Tom Watson, because Tom Watson got lit up. I can't remember which rounds it was, second or third, but Sam Alvey came out strong and started fighting back. And that's what Elias has to be beware of. He can absolutely get KO'd, and he can't get too comfortable in there. As long as he stays disciplined, stays on the outside, or all the way in clinch range, he should be fine. I wouldn't exchange too much with Sam. He's obviously very powerful, but I think the flat-footed nature of Sam just really works to his disadvantage here, and Elias should be able to kick the shit out of Sam Alvey. So I'm going to choose Theodorou via second round KO. Joe Soto versus Chris Beal. This was a really tough fight. Chris Beal I don't know a lot about, but I know Joe Soto does better against styles that are similar to like the American mixed martial arts scene, like the wrestler-boxer styles. And Joe Soto had trouble in the past because he wasn't used to those other styles. He fought that Korean kid or like somebody from Asia who has that really awkward stand-up style. He fought a guy that was taller and longer and he got knocked out. And then I can't remember his other fight that he lost, but he's lost 3 in a row now. Now he's fighting somebody where he's had this kind of style of fight before. Chris Beal, I don't know a lot about him. I know he is that wrestler boxer style. He has a reach on him. He has fast hands, I believe. And he could be able to piece up Joe Soto. Joe Soto's not the sharpest on the feet. He's much more of a grappler. But if this fight goes to the ground, I do see Joe Soto definitely getting the better in the as far as submissions and whatnot. And it's a bit of a stretch. I think Joe Soto might be able to win this fight even by decision. Chris Beal, I think, is probably the safer fight here just because Joe Soto has not been able to get his footing. But remember, the pressure is not on Joe. He's not fighting TJ Dillashaw, but he's fighting... the pressure on Joe is that he's lost 3 fights in a row. That's the pressure, and to pick up another win. But, the eyes aren't on him as far as like high expectation. He's fighting a style that he's similar with, and he's used to. So I think Joe definitely can get back on track here. I'm going to choose second round submission. Probably more likely a decision for him, but, best of luck to both guys, I guess. Tamden McCrory, who I think is kind of like Cole Miller versus Christoph Jotko. I don't know a lot about Jotko. I know probably is much more of a striker. I don't know if he's well-rounded or not. I haven't watched a lot of his fights, so take this pick lightly. I just know Tamden is that Cole Miller type. He's got a really sharp 1-2 as well on the feet. He always seems to catch his opponents with that, and his opponents always seem kind of surprised at his power. And he's 6'4", he's lanky, so he might get out-muscled, maybe, by Jotko. I don't know. I just think he has much more ways to win. He could probably submit Jotko. I'm just going to go by decision here because I'm just not quite sure how the stand-up is going to play out in this fight. Next up is Misha Cirkunov versus Ion Cutelaba, I believe is how his last name is pronounced. From the little I've seen of Ion, his striking defense kind of worries me. Well, not worries me, but it's questionable. He'll back straight up, hands down, and then chin wide open. And Misha here, I think he's much more of a grappler, and Eon's much more of a grappler as well. And I don't think he'll need to go to any grappling exchanges unless, one of these guys doesn't rock someone else and then they dive in for a takedown. But from the striking defense I saw of Eon, unless if that hasn't been addressed, this dude's gonna get knocked out. All Misha has to do is press forward with strikes, and he'll hit the chin for sure, as long as he doesn't get countered and KO'd himself. But these are light heavyweights we're talking about. It could go either way. But I think overall Misha should easily win this fight, either by submission or KO. I just don't think Eon's ready for this guy. Jason Saggo versus Leandro Silva. Another fight where I don't know a lot about these guys. I know Jason Saggo is much more of a Damian Maia type, and I know Leandro Silva also has like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but Silva is weird. He stays on the outside. He doesn't engage much, and he'll press forward here and there, but overall, I think he tries to mimic Anderson Silva here and there. I think he's kind of one of those fighters that'd be happy if he's able to stay on the outside and just leg kick someone once every minute and get away with it. It's noted here that he's Orthodox, but that's not true. I believe he's a Southpaw, and he just lied to everyone and told them that he was Orthodox. But that doesn't really matter. He'll probably come out Southpaw. He has done it in the past few fights. I think the flat-footed nature and his playful style and kind of cocky style in the octagon is going to hurt him, and I think Jason Saggo, if he's relentless enough with the takedown, that'll be enough to win this fight. Shut down any of Silva's offensive strikes if he even decides to be offensive in this fight. And if Silva comes out and fights, he should be able to win the stand-up exchanges, but he hasn't before. So I just think Saggo takes him down. I don't care about this fight. I think it might be really boring. Jason Saggo by decision is what I chose. Valerie Letourneau versus Joanne Calderwood. Both are tough girls. Letourneau has much better combinations, I think, much more aware of what she's doing as far as strikes. Her combinations in the pocket are really good, and she mixes in body kicks and head kicks quite well. I think she's just going to piece up Joanne Calderwood here. All the respect in the world to Joanne. She's 10-1, but I mean, let's check out also real quick the tail of the tape here. Yeah, Letourneau even has a reach advantage on her. So I just think Letourneau absolutely will piece up Joanne Calderwood here. Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Next up is Olivier Aubin-Mercier versus, I don't know how to say this guy's name. I'm just going to call him, I think the last name would be said like Gautier or something like that. I'm just going to call him Gouti. Gouti probably spent a lot of time in the regional scene, French regional scene, something like that, and hasn't really fought high opposition. Olivier has, and I think he has a judo background too, so he's got the grappling experience. Now, Gauti's well-rounded, but he lost right away in his UFC debut. Unless he stays really disciplined and tries to like knock out Olivier, I'm not sure how he's going to win. It'd be great if he did get a knockout for his stock, because it'd be he'd be able to make a statement and really prove that he's here to stay. But he's lost his debut, and I just think this is going to be a difficult task for Gouti. And I think Olivier is just, if he doesn't win by submission, he'll win by decision. I should change this to submission, but I'm not gonna. Next fight is Steve Bosse versus Sean O'Connell. Both guys have been knocked out in the past, Sean O'Connell more so. I think this will probably be largely contested on the feet unless Sean decides, I'm really going to try to stay disciplined in this fight, come forward and try to close the distance and get it to the ground or something. I just think Steve is just a little bit more athletic, and you can flip a coin here essentially. Both guys could just knock each other out. But I'm just going to go with Steve here. Not a lot to say in my opinion, and I didn't really watch either of their guys' last fights or study anything. So once again, take that pick lightly. Donald Cerrone versus Patrick Cote. Man, this is a tough fight. There's so many different factors to look at here. Let's check out the tail of the tape. 6'1", Donald Cerrone. Patrick Cote, 6'11". Donald Cerrone with the reach advantage here. I would think Cote would be have a little bit more strength. Man, I don't know what to think about this fight. Cote could easily win this fight, I think. I think it goes to the decision no matter what. But which way it goes and how this fight plays out, I'm just not sure. Grueling fight. I think Cerrone's height will absolutely play an advantage here, and I think that's why I'm leaning towards him. It's a lot of the clinch exchanges that I think are going to give Cote trouble. And it's not so much that Donald Cerrone is good at maintaining distance, because you can absolutely close the distance on him. But, yeah, I don't know. Pick 'em fight here. Just going to lean with Donald Cerrone here. Stand up, maybe he is just a little better at maintaining that distance. And if it goes to the grappling exchanges, he always has the knees to rely on. And he's really good. He's really good grappler as well. Cerrone, I think he's kind of underrated as far as a grappler. Cerrone's really good, so he could even win this a fight by submission. I don't know. Don't count out Cote here. I didn't do a lot of studying. Let's just go over really quick what I already discussed in the breakdown video. I'm choosing Rory MacDonald first round knockout. Is that the likely scenario? No. Is it possible? Of course. And I feel like there's much more to learn about Stephen Thompson in this fight that I'm very excited to see. So I just think Stephen Thompson has some habits that, a lot of fighters have, and that's kind of getting off the fence, how to do that accurately. And MacDonald should be able to expose that and counter some of the blitzes and be able to manage his range and understanding of how Thompson uses range more than other fighters will be able to. So I think, the likely scenario for Rory will probably be a decision, maybe even a submission. First round knockout, not so much, but I kind of like to do that in my picks, is kind of play with that uncertainty and that unlikelihood, because every single fight has that element. So Rory MacDonald, first round knockout. And then the one thing I wanted to address really quickly was like a few comments. There wasn't a lot, but I would assume that people passing by that don't comment might feel the same way, and that's the video I portrayed in the breakdown was biased towards Rory MacDonald, and it's not biased. I think the intriguing point of this fight is, and every Thompson fight is, how do you beat this guy? How is somebody this good plowing through somebody like Johnny Hendricks? And there's a lot to be discussed there. And I think if anybody can do that, it is most certainly Rory MacDonald. And that's kind of the viewpoint I went with. And it's not because, well, if anybody can do it, Rory MacDonald, therefore I can pick him. No, after analyzing the fights unbiasedly, like I do every single fight, because I chose Stephen Thompson to win against Hendricks anyway. Why would I, it's just, I feel like after analyzing the fights, if I'm going to make a pick in the video, I might as well explain my pick. And when I was analyzing fights, I just noticed that there are absolutely things that Rory does in his fights that will counteract what Steven does in his fights, on top of the game planning and how Rory always has an approach to his fights that are unique in every single fight. And I think that'll translate in this one. And so I feel like the misconception on top of that was, well, you're not giving Stephen Thompson any chance. And let me just say right now, that's just completely untrue. I'm very aware that Stephen Thompson can absolutely dust Rory MacDonald in, a first, second round, because these fighters are making reads on the fly too. And that's an element that people kind of forget. Like, there's a lot of decision making in real time. Reads and movements and feints. These are all things that they've trained for, but there's always things that they're bringing to the table that is a level of trickery, and that's what a feint is. And so they have their own game plans. They're coming in. There's going to be live reads, and that's also going to play a huge factor in this fight, because I see comments like, "Oh, Thompson's fight IQ is higher than Rory MacDonald's fight IQ because Rory MacDonald got punched in the face." And these are just a lot of fight analysis, and people that do that just generalize a lot of things, and everything is different. Every single fight is different because every single fighter is different. So I take quite a bit of a different approach to, well, I feel a little bit of a different approach to how I pick my fights. And so I don't always, these videos don't always rub off on people the right way. So I just wanted to explain that side of things. I'm not saying that Stephen Thompson can't win this fight, because I do think there are a lot of things that he's going to be successful at in this fight. But overall, I felt like MacDonald has the advantage over Thompson, and I made a video explaining that why. So thank you guys who did comment on that video, and who brought, when you did comment and you disagreed, you brought a fair argument to the table and you asked questions. And I never really got responses to a lot of those, and I get a lot of dislikes, because usually when you make a pick, people will see, well, you're not picking the guy that I'm picking, or this video doesn't align with my views of how I see this fight, so dislike. But that's fine. I just kind of wish, selfishly, people would kind of leave those comments and explain, in detail their side of things. But that's just not going to happen. I mean, people can hardly get through 30 seconds of a video. They're not going to write more than 50 characters in a comment, if they even make it to 50 characters. So yeah, thanks for watching.